Hello, in the last session we spoke about user interface and how the user interface, how the Excel will have user interface designed, and in this case we used a single sheet. The sheet was named user interface, user int, and this sheet was to be used as a user interface. Now if you recall, in the spreadsheet, in the discussion we had, there will be user interface. The processing and storage area, storage in the sense, it can be energy storage or information storage area. They are secure and they are isolated from the user interface. And there are reasons for that, simply because the user really has no purpose to go into that and find out how they are. And furthermore, often it's far more dangerous or even not a great idea to have free access into these areas of processing and storage, in the sense storage of information or energy. So we have a similar setup here. We have a user interface, and then we have another area called processing, which is, even though I have put in some color, you don't have to have it colored. It's only for where the designers get in and the user has no access, so it doesn't have to be visually appealing or any of that kind. And then the data area is where data is held. Now I have these information that is I have already included, therefore I'll come to that as we progress further. So what I would suggest is, if you have set up this user interface as we did, or the sheet called user int as we had previously, where you got typed in mass of cylinder, material concrete, input area, and the details for this input area, we got inputting length and diameter, and in the output area you got volume and mass, which will appear when the processing is finished in this process sheet. So what I would like you to pause here and then go to a processing sheet and just change this name to processing. Of course, it will be lovely if you can give it a color as well. Maybe this time we'll give it a green color, and then create another sheet called data. And don't worry about this stuff, we'll come back to that later, but just create a sheet and give it a color yellow. I just picked yellow. Now if you recall, oh, that was the processing. I'll take this color here, tab color to blue. Now if you notice, I have not told you, you would have normally had only 3 sheets, but I got 6 sheets. How did that happen? Now in my computer I got a plus for new sheet, but you would have another, if you have a different version of Windows or Microsoft Word, you might probably have another slot here to create a sheet. Just click on that and a sheet is created. I'll also delete these sheets because I don't have any use for them. I'll delete again. I click on that, right click the mouse button, and you get a delete, and I delete the sheet and it's gone. And I want to delete this sheet, it's gone, and this sheet is gone as well, deleted. So I'm left with only 4 sheets. Really I will not need this sheet because this was created just for demonstration. So this is an exact copy of that. I created that as a copy, so I'll delete that as well because I'm going to use this sheet here. So I'll delete that as well. So now we'll be left with only, it says that you can't undo deleting sheets. If you don't do it, click delete. Okay, if you don't need it, so I don't need it anyway. So this is the sheet that I have got use for. I have user int 2. You can use user int as such. So first do some cleanup. So you could have user int. Maybe I'll even rename that. Rename and call that. Rename user int. Just put the mouse on that side and the cursor on left and right hand side and delete the 2. So I got user int for your interface, processing sheet, and a data sheet. Alright, and then you do that and come. I'll wait for you. Pause now. Okay, you are ready back again. Now if you recall, I asked you to name this cell as length, and how you did that was you clicked on that, right click, define name, or there's another method. You can go again on these tabs here, go up here, formula, and then there's a define name, and you get the same dialog box. You type in the name there, and if you recall, it refers to user int D6. I'll come back to that. So I'll just click it off. I've already defined, so just define this as length and that as diameter. If you can do that, that'd be great. Thank you. I'll wait for you. Pause now. Okay, now that you have named these things, these two sheets, these two cells, as one as length and one as diameter. Now let's proceed. Now I'll tell you why we have names, use names in cells. When we go into processing, now we can calculate the volume. To calculate the volume, you have to type in the cell from which the information will come. Volume of a cylinder is really the length, and that asterisk is the sign for multiplication. Then that's a function called pi, and then it's a times again, and then diameter divided by 2, the whole thing squared. And for squared, the 2 is the squared part of it, but what you're saying is you're raising to the power 2. So to raise to the power, that is the key stroke that is used. It's like an inverted V. It's to get that, you got to press shift and the 6, and then you get the key coming in. That particular sign comes in. In any case, I'll come back to this again. So that's the formula that I'm going to use. So to use the formula, I'm using a cell name, length. Length refers to this cell. Then again, diameter refers to this cell. So that's what I want. That's why we use names. And if you look at the other one here, volume, sorry, the mass. Mass is equal to volume times concrete. That's because I have defined this cell as volume. No, I have not. So define this cell as volume. Obviously, it says I have defined some cell as volume. Let's see where it's coming from. So to check that up, I go to name manager and check volume. Volume, it says it's in processing. Processing at file. Oh, that's named the volume. That's right. That's volume. So volume times the concrete here is the named given to this value here, which is concrete here. And the concrete is because that's the density of concrete I put in there. And that's the data sheet that we will be using for this particular calculation. So I would suggest we stop here, and then I would like you to understand, to pause a little while and go through this back again. So go back on your video and check all these what I've told you so far in the last few minutes. Okay, now that you come back, let's start again. So I want to write the formula. When you write a formula, remember, you got to start with an equal sign. I'll show you the formula would like. If I double click, the formula can be seen in large case or large size. Equal sign always, a cell reference times pi times diameter divided by 2 for the radius. I put them in bracket, raised to the power 2. So that is important. You could have an equal sign for any formula. Now if I look at the mass formula here, mass is volume times, I put concrete is the cell I had defined in here, which is the diameter, the density of concrete. Okay. So I suggest you pause this video right now and introduce this formula here. I have written this down here just for you to understand what the formula would look like. So do that. So you would have, so you got to create this data file in which you got to create this table and put concrete, name that, and then you got to create a in this processing file, create this area. It doesn't have to be colored, of course. After all, it's not seen by user, but include a formula there, formula here, and this formula would be length. This formula would be length equal to length times pi times diameter squared, or diameter divided by 2 squared. And this should be defined as volume times concrete. That's the formula there. Okay, I'll wait for you. Pause and go and come back. Okay, now you come back. When you look at the formula, if you notice, in this one length here, and I told you when you define the name, it refers to this cell. Now let's go and look at the name manager. And name manager talks about, let's look at this here. That's the length. And I'll just make this, see, look at that. It says user int, then there's a dollar sign there, dollar sign D, dollar sign 6. Whenever you have dollar signs like that in a formula, or if I have a dollar sign in any formula, say if I put in here, this equals, this is just a demonstration, this is equal to, put a dollar sign, and okay, I'll go back on that. That one, I'll go back on that. What I want to do is I want to put another formula in here. What I do is I say equal to. So I want to put this cell in there. Now, if I have a cell like that, and I want to have absolute reference to that, I will have to press F4, which will put a dollar sign there in between the cells, in between the letters. That means it refers to exclusively that cell only. So if I have F4 in there, function F4, that will put a dollar sign around it, and if I enter, doesn't matter what I do, wherever I copy that or paste it or whatever I do, that cell reference will go through everything. So I just copied it, and if I stick it in here as paste, so it will still, even here it will refer to the same B6. If I didn't do that, say I'll take another cell here. So this one I want to put a copy equal to just B6. Same thing, it's B6, yes, that's B6. Now I say that's what I want there. But if I copy this now and I paste it, say in here, it will change. It will change with reference to how many. See, I'll look at this one here. Now it's not, it was B6 before, now it's G9. It has changed with respect to, relative to the previous position of B6. Make sense? So if you want to refer to a specific cell, you've got to have a dollar sign. So I'll undo what I've done so far. And that's what it meant by what we did before. Okay, so you do that, and you will end up with this formula. So stop, pause now, and then get on with what I've done so far. What that means is you have to enter the formula here, and also get this data sheet done with the name this concrete, and you got everything, most about everything done. Then, and you come back to me in a minute. Okay, you're back. So if you've done all of that, you've got the input area, output area, and now you want to have this processed information that you got for volume and the mass to come out the interface, in the user interface. So what you do is here you put a equal to sign volume. What it does is, in here, in this output area, because volume refers specifically to that cell there, which is in the processing, it will straight away pop up here. Similarly, if you put this one as equal to mass, mass is from there, and that's done it. That's all you have to do. Okay, bye-bye.